Hey, what's up guys? My name is Spartan, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you a beginner's guide to the turtle build in the tower. So the idle tower defense is a really fun game, and if you're new to the channel, I make all sorts of videos about this game in particular, and this is actually not my main account. This is Spartan Jr., and this is going to be the first official video featuring Spartan Jr. But that being said, what is the turtle build? So the turtle build is really the first build that you will do in the game once you start playing. And you will use this build basically until you are able to farm enough coins to eventually transition into the blender strategy, which I have a couple videos talking about now. But the whole purpose of the turtle build is effectively to rely on defense absolute and thorn damage. If you have some of this extra stuff too, like I have orbs down here, those are good too, but it's mostly going to revolve around defense absolute and thorn damage. So before we actually kind of get kicked off with how to do the strategy, let's just talk about what is important in the workshop to upgrade. So you can see my workshop right here. This is the attack upgrades, the defense upgrades, and the utility upgrades. And within each of these, there's a few key kind of things that will really help you out whenever you are literally just starting out the game. And first and foremost is actually going to be your cash bonus. Cash bonus will basically give you more cash to upgrade things during the run, and that is going to be very important because right now we don't have a whole lot going on in our workshop. So in order to basically raise our defense absolute and raise our thorns and everything else, we need to make sure that we have enough cash to actually do so. Likewise, there is the cash per wave. That's okay, you can throw some levels at it, but it's really not as important as the cash bonus. And along with that, you're also going to want to have some investment in the coins per kill bonus. This obviously just increases the amount of coins that the enemies basically drop when you kill them. Not all enemies are guaranteed to drop coins, but the ones that do, this coin per kill bonus will basically ever so slightly increase the amount of coins that they drop. So these two in particular are super important. Again, the cash per wave and the coins per wave are good, but they're by no means near as effective as the cash bonus and coins per kill bonus, if that makes any sense. Likewise, if you have the free upgrades, you can slowly start raising those up, but they start to get pretty expensive pretty quick. And that really goes more into the blender strategy, which again, I have a couple videos on. Now let's talk about some of the attack upgrades that you can work on in the workshop. First and foremost is going to be your attack speed and your damage. Those two things in particular will be pretty helpful. Attack speed for just slowly whittling down the health of the enemies so that your thorns can kill them more efficiently, and obviously damage so that the amount of damage basically increases, and same kind of thing as we just talked about with attack speed. Slowly whittling down the enemy's health so that they can eventually just die to your thorns. So for the defense tree, because the turtle build is an EHP build, which stands for effective hit points, you can upgrade any of these top four. So health regen, defense percent, and defense absolute. Although the two really most important ones for this build are going to be health and defense absolute. Defense absolute because it mitigates the total amount of damage that the enemies do to you. And the best way to kind of explain what defense absolute actually does is if the number here, so like I have 22.31, if that number is higher than the enemy's damage number, the normal enemies basically are not actually going to hurt me. It also, as you can read here, it says absolute defense reduced from enemy attacks. This is applied after the defense percentage. So if you were to upgrade your defense percentage quite a bit higher, that would actually increase the amount of survivability that you have, and that way you're not completely just relying on defense absolute. One thing to keep in mind with defense absolute is that the longer the enemies are around your tower hitting you, they basically have their attacks heated up and they start to do more and more damage with each attack. So keep that in mind. That's why the thorns are going to be super important. Speaking of thorns, let's talk about that. So thorns deal a percent of the enemy's max health in damage when they hit your tower. And this includes ranged enemies, and the damage is cut in half for damage specifically to bosses. So there's a few key milestones to try to get your thorns to during the run, and this kind of goes with math, and for those of you that know me, I suck at math, but I'm going to do the best I can here. So the first milestone that you will want to get your thorns to is going to be 11. And after that, the next one that you're going to want to try to get to is 21%, because then it will take 5 hits to kill the enemies. And then after that, you will want it to be 26%. Then it is 4 hits to kill the enemies. And after that, you will want to get it to 34%. That is 3 hits to kill an enemy. And last but not least, you want to try to get it up to 51%. That will basically mean 2 hits and every enemy dies, with an exception of bosses like we just talked about. Eventually, if you're able to survive a lot further and you have enough cash to fully max thorns, there's absolutely no problem with that. But you still at the same time want to make sure that your defense absolute is actually catching up with the enemy's damage. So that covers the workshop. Let's go ahead and briefly talk about the ideal cards that you will want for this build. And you can see right here, there's really 4 cards that are going to be very, very helpful. And first and foremost is going to be the Fortress card. This obviously just increases the amount of defense absolute, and in my case, 1.45 times. So this card is going to be very, very helpful. Likewise, we're going to be trying to get as many coins as possible so that we can really transition to Blender as quickly as possible. And for that purpose, you will want the Coins card. And the next card you're going to want is the Cash card. This, again, we kind of already talked about it. Will just increase the amount of cash that you have available to basically run through the upgrades during the run. And Enemy Balance is kind of similar. It gives you a cash bonus. It also does increase the total amount of enemies, which may sound bad, but since we're going to be killing them with thorns anyway, it really will not affect us too badly. So the good thing about the Enemy Balance card is since you have more enemies, you therefore will get more coins from those enemies and be able to hopefully progress a lot quicker. So those are some really good cards to kind of look out for. Some other optional ones in case you don't have all of these is health. Health is pretty good. You can't go wrong with more health. You can also get the attack speed card. There's a card called Critical Coin that you can get, and also extra defense. So that pretty much covers cards. I don't have modules unlocked, so we're not going to talk about that. But truth be told, if you already are at the point where you have modules, you're more than likely not going to be doing the turtle build any longer. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about which labs would be ideal to upgrade. So first and foremost, at the top of the list here is going to be actually your lab speed. So this one is one that you will definitely want to put a lot of emphasis on throughout pretty much the entirety of the game. It takes a long time to get really high in the levels, but this will overall just reduce the overall upgrade time per lab upgrade. So each of these upgrades here, you can see like the game speed is 3 days. If you pretty much frequently increase the lab speed lab and put levels into it, the number of time will go down for every other upgrade in the game. So that is very, very good. Some actual sort of labs that pertain directly to the turtle build will be your EHP related stuff. So you have health regen, defense percent if you eventually get it, and defense absolute. Those are going to be very, very helpful. For your econ stuff, you're 100% going to want to do, again, kind of like we talked about, the cash bonus and the coins per kill bonus. You can also, like I mentioned, put some levels in the coins per wave and the cash per wave, but those are not near as important as the cash bonus and the coins per kill bonus. For the attack research, really, the biggest things that will help you is kind of just attack speed and damage, sort of like we touched on. But if you're at the point where I am right now and you're relatively new to the game, the very first lab that you're going to want to perma run until it is maxed is going to be your game speed lab. It does get pretty expensive and it takes quite a bit of time to upgrade, but this will allow you to take your game speed from 1.5 all the way to 5 times speed, which is going to significantly decrease the amount of real game time that you're spending on the tower, and it will basically speed up the overall time of your runs, get you more coins quicker, get your runs done quicker, and yeah, this is pretty much the first lab that you're going to want to do. Some optional labs that can also be helpful are going to be things like the labs coin discount. That's a good one to get a few levels in just to make some of this stuff a little bit cheaper. Also the starting cash, putting a few levels into that just so that you have some guaranteed cash coming in every single wave. But yeah, if you are literally brand new to this game, the general advice that I like to tell people is to do what I call spreading the love. So you see, there's a lot of these upgrades that are like 1 hour, 28 minutes, like very, very short amounts of time. The main goal is to really try to get all of those until basically the time starts to get kind of crazy. So that's why you can see my labs here. I sort of have an even distribution within all of the levels, just because I've been kind of, like I mentioned, spreading the love. So that's a good sort of thing that you can definitely try to do. And just to get you sort of a baseline with each of these labs, because a lot of these will definitely come in handy throughout the course of your game. Likewise, you're going to want to make sure that you can try to save up gems to basically purchase all 5 labs. You can get up to 5, and it is quite helpful. So that is a very good sort of milestone to sort of aim for, and definitely try to get your 5th lab as soon as possible, but just be aware it is super expensive. But that is going to sort of cover up the setup of the turtle build. Let's go ahead and talk about how to actually run the turtle build. So let's just start a run here. The very first thing that I'm going to do is look at the little sword towards the bottom of the screen here. You can see the enemies currently have 1.18 damage. And then I'm going to look at my defense absolute number, and I'm basically just going to try to make sure that this number is higher than the enemy's damage, which again is the number right next to that sword. The first thing that I always do is just start spamming my cash bonus. Just get that as high as possible, and I'll also throw some levels into the cash per wave, just to try to get my cash income going as quickly as possible. After I spend quite a few waves kind of getting my cash bonus and my cash per waves up, what I'm going to do next is sort of try to get my thorn damage higher. So again, increasing it, pretty much trying to get to those next few milestones. So like right now I'm going to try to get it to 21. So just to recap, it is 11, then 21, then 26, then 34, and last 51. Those are really the ideal milestones to efficiently kill the enemies. Oh, and I didn't even realize we didn't talk about ultimate weapons, but the ideal ultimate weapons for this build really don't super matter, but some really good options can be really anything that gives you more coins. So Golden Tower can be great, Black Hole can be great, Spotlight, Death Wave, anything like that will be super helpful. If you have like Chain Lightning, that can also be pretty good. Not for coins, but just for pushing further in the runs. But yeah, we're still just kind of back and forth here, monitoring the defense absolute and also increasing the cash bonus, trying to get this as high as humanly possible. You can also occasionally throw some cash at the coins per kill bonus and the coins per wave just to get you some added economy there, just as long as you're sort of monitoring that number right next to the sword, because we do not want that to get higher than our defense absolute. And like I mentioned, this build is not very like AFK friendly until you eventually get your thorns up to 51%. And once you usually get it up to 51%, what you will want to do after that is basically just spam the defense absolute, try to get it as high as you can, and then obviously, you know, you can step away, you can take a shower, you can do whatever. The main goal with this build is just to get you enough coins to essentially transition to the blender strategy, which comes into play pretty much for a very large portion of the early game. But in terms of the actual turtle build, this is usually the first build that I will recommend to brand new players because it's just so simple, it's so easy to do, and really, it's very low barrier to entry. Like, you basically just hit 2 buttons. You hit Defense Absolute and you hit Thorn damage. But yeah, that is actually going to wrap up today's guide. If you are new to the game, feel free to drop a comment below and just say hi. And likewise, if you ever need any help with anything tower related, feel free to join our Discord server. We have people that are anywhere from brand new to the game to have been playing for like 2 or 3 years. So feel free to pop in there. The link to the Discord server will be found in the video description, kind of towards the bottom. So feel free to check that out if you'd like. Also, if this video was beneficial to you, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help me out and I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. If you have any other questions or need some clarification about anything within this build, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And like always, I will see you guys later.